This is an overview of Autodesk Vaults Connected Workgroups. But first, some definitions. Microsoft SQL Server stores the metadata extracted from files when they're added to the vault. Internet Information Services, or IIS, are web services used for client-to-server communications. It uses standard HTTP methods, communicating over port 80 by default. Autodesk Data Management Server is a standalone application which allows you to create and manage vaults and libraries. It's also known as ADMS. Autodesk Vault File Store, or AVFS, is the file system that stores the actual files checked in by the client. Autodesk's on-premise data management solution, Vault, is scalable from a single user using one Vault server to an entire enterprise using multiple Vault ADMS, AVFS, and SQL servers scattered around the globe. A typical growth scenario would involve initially a single site Vault ADMS running locally SQL for the database. Remote users in satellite offices could experience poor performance checking out files. So Autodesk introduced Autodesk Vault File Server, or AVFS. An AVFS connects remotely to the ADMS. Vault clients connecting to an AVFS send their database traffic directly to the ADMS, which sits very close to the SQL database server. Vault clients connecting to an AVFS send their file store traffic directly to the AVFS. Installing AVFS in satellite offices provides significant performance improvements compared to connecting remotely to an ADMS. At some point, latency between a client and server becomes so great, possibly due to geographical reasons, it becomes beneficial to replicate the database to other locations. Autodesk Vault supports fully replicating SQL databases to other sites that can also utilize AVFS or the file server. Vault can be scaled globally. If a site grows, there's an upgrade path that would involve taking an Autodesk Vault file server and giving it its own SQL database and installing ADMS. As far as terminology is concerned, a site is a location where the Vault server, or ADMS or AVFS software is installed for users to connect to with their client applications such as the Thick Vault client, Job Processor, Vault Mobile, or integration with some CAD application like Inventor or AutoCAD. A work group is a group of sites connecting to the same SQL database. A publisher is the first SQL server configured in a fully replicated environment. Subscribers are SQL servers connected to the publisher in a fully replicated environment. Replication requirements. For servers not in the same domain, add a local Windows account, not a domain account, for each agent at the appropriate nodes. Use the same name and password at each node, for example, Autodesk Rep. A shared folder on the publisher where replication snapshots are stored and shared to remote SQL servers. A Windows account on the publisher that has read-write permissions to the snapshot share. A Windows account that has read permissions to the publisher's snapshot share. Servers participating in the replication environment must be able to resolve remote servers by NetBIOS name. Note, it's recommended to avoid using NetBIOS non-compliant computer names for Vault servers. Refer to the following Microsoft article, Naming Conventions for Computer Accounts. SQL and HTTP ports need to be open in firewalls for communication between servers. SQL Server replication must be enabled. If not, run the SQL installation package again to modify the installation on the SQL Server and enable replication. Recommendations. Servers are in the same domain or two-way trusted domains. Servers are assigned static IP addresses. They use one domain user account for replication and snapshot access. Replication Setup. Create a snapshot shared folder. Enable replication. Install a second SQL server. Then configure the publisher to connect to the new subscriber. Install Vault Server application on the subscriber. And that was a quick overview of Autodesk Vaults Connected Workgroup.